Welcome all of you at MAFS facility in Chicago. We are doing a very important study with the University of Northwestern University, and this is for our community. You can take this knowledge and spread out the word about the sudden cardiac arrest, how to stop it and how to help that 3 minutes time or 5 minutes time, which is a very critical time. Suppose somebody fell in your office or in your restaurant, in your offices, any facility, then what you will do immediately. That kind of study, training we will give to your life. It saves life, definitely. And we can provide your workers, your people, your employee in any locality. Here, if you want to come here, we can provide this facility. If you invite us to your place, we can go there. But we will give you trainer here. Mr. Ron, please, can you come here? Mr. Ron Davis, he's a certified trainer for CPR, that is called cardiac sudden arrest thing. He's an expert for that. We use him for many people, for our drivers, for our staff. And he will go personally and give you the full training. He will give you overview today. And Supna ji also here from Northwestern University. We are partnering with them for this important study for our South Asian people, wherever they are, and we can go to any location. It is your masjid, your mandir, your gurdwara, and your restaurant and grocery stores, whatever you are belong to.
Thank you for having us here. This is really exciting to see all of you here. I can't even express how happy I feel. So let me give you a little bit of background of what I do. So I work at Northwestern University. I'm a physician from India, and मैं यहाँ पे मूव हुई 12 साल पहले. My focus was really working in public health, लोगों को prevention और लोगों की सेहत किस तरह से हम अच्छी कर सकते हैं. That's our goal. So I work at Northwestern University. पिछले 5 सालों से मैं Northwestern में काम कर रही हूँ. हम research studies करते हैं. Research यानी हम basically दिल के दौरे से हम लोग South Asian, एशियाई, भारतीय और पाकिस्तानी लोग किस तरह से बच सकते हैं और किस तरह से हम लोगों को सिखा सकते हैं, वो हमारा गोल है. हाँ, क्या आप सबको पता है कि हम एशियाई, भारतीय और पाकिस्तानी लोगों को किसी भी दूसरे अन्य समाज के लोगों से 3 दफ़ा ज़्यादा हार्ट अटैक होने के चांसेस ज़्यादा है. वी आर more likely to get a heart attack compared to any other community member. So that is a wake-up call for us. You know, we have to do something about this. हम हमारे लोगों के लिए कर सकते हैं. So that is our goal. हम Metropolitan Asian Family Services has been a great asset for us. We've been working together. एक साथ हम काम कर रहे हैं last 10 साल हो गए, right?
10 years we are doing study for our people, for heart study and for diabetic condition. We have done study complete for many sessions we have done.
Every time मैं यहाँ पे आती हूँ, I always see some people who have been part of our study, and we thank all of them and all of you for, you know, coming here to listen why we are doing this. So again, like I said, because हमें heart attack आने की संभावना ज़्यादा है, we have high chances of getting a heart attack. हम कुछ करना चाहते हैं. हमने एक स्टडी पहले शुरू की मिसेस कुमार से आके यहाँ पे हमने वीडियोस डेवलप किए हमारी कम्युनिटी के लिए. वी डेवलप सम हार्ट डिसीज़ प्रिवेंशन वीडियोस जिसमें वी ट्राई टू टीच पीपल एकदम बेसिक सिंपल लैंग्वेज में किस तरह से हाउ यू कैन प्रिवेंट अ हार्ट अटैक, जस्ट सिंपल लैंग्वेज. And then we were fortunate to get more bigger grant from National Institute of Health in DC, that's the government. So हमें वो grant मिली थी 3 साल पहले to TC, अगर हम जो classes में अगर लोगों को सिखाए, if we teach people in simple language, can it reduce rates of heart disease? तो हमारी वो grant हमने 2 साल पहले we started with MAFS here. We were equal partners. हम Northwestern में काम करते हैं और हमारे वहाँ पे it's different there. हम community में जब आते हैं तब पता चलता है community के for example हमने जब when we developed our videos we came up with some medical lingo. हमने medical language में किस तरह से चीज़ें होनी चाहिए. Then we come here and then Mrs. Kumar and people here they say no, this is not how it should be. Talk about this. For example हमने एक flyer, when we developed a flyer we just had basic language.
In that case our role was how we can make that medical language, which is very technical high, how to make it understandable to our people. Simpler and understandable and with our culture. Because food habits are entirely different. Our work habits are different. We are not a people who go every day in the gym and do the things undone with whatever we are eating. So we eat differently, we live differently, we work differently, and we think differently. So our role as a community leader or community partner to tell them how you should shape your questionnaire, how to answer, what you take out of the question, how to ask the question, so the real things will come out. Simpler way. That is our role. And bringing people also our role for the university, because they have a know-how, they have all the doctors, all the study knowledge and research knowledge, and we give the people for them and make them aware to mix this. So this is a good combination. We bring the people for them.
Yeah, this was a perfect combination. We had, yes, and we got an award from Northwestern University. से हमें award मिला last year, 1.5 year back, last year, right? Yeah, हमारी partnership के लिए, which was a big achievement for us.
From Northwestern University. Yes. The study we did on heart, we got the award. There were 170 partners at that time, the community research. 170 community research were done, and we are selected for this thing. So it shows we have done very thoroughly, very sincerely, and very dedicatedly. That is the result of that. Thank you.
Yes, so ये partnership बहुत perfect है, हम यहाँ पे आते हैं, लोगों को भरोसा है, Mrs. कुमार MAFS पे बहुत भरोसा है, लेकिन अगर हम Northwestern में बैठ के लोगों को कहे आप आएंगे तो कोई आएंगे आप नहीं, right? लेकिन MAFS है तो आप आएंगे, अब भरोसा करते हैं. So that's why हमारी एक वो जो स्टडी थी, एक यूनिक स्टडी, और एक दूसरी एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट ये, हमारी उस स्टडी में 6 महीने के लिए लोगों को वापस आना था. They had to come back at 6 months for their blood draw, and we were able to get 100% people, all the people to come back for the 6-month follow-up. Yeah, and when we present this, people say 100%, that's great, and we say that's because of MAFS. So उस स्टडी के रिजल्ट्स हम अभी पब्लिश कर रहे हैं, प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं साइंटिफिक सेमिनार्स में.
एंड वो भी है साइंटिफिक मेडिकल मैगजीन में हमारा आर्टिकल है.
हम हमारे एक साथ पब्लिकेशंस, अब तक 2 पब्लिकेशंस हो चुके हैं साइंटिफिक जर्नल्स में, एंड मोर टू कम. एक्चुअली वी आर वर्किंग ऑन मोर. बट इस स्टडी के फाइंडिंग से पता चला, हम यहाँ पे क्लासेस सिखाते थे. एक ग्रुप था जिसमें वी वर टीचिंग क्लासेस बेस्ड और अगेन टीचिंग देम हाउ टू prevent heart attack, and the other group was just getting basically हम compare कर रहे थे classes में जो आते हैं, क्या वो अपने आप को उनके जो diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, क्या वो कम कर सकते हैं. So again we are very happy to say जो हमारे classes के group में थे उसमें लोगों का वज़न कम हुआ और उनकी जो diabetes के level, hemoglobin A1C, sugar level कम हुई. So that was good. यानी ऐसे अब हम कह सकते हैं उस स्टडी का फ़ायदा हुआ लोगों को, और अब हम ज़्यादा फंडिंग के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, ज़्यादा एक साथ काम करने के लिए.
टेप बना है वो हम आप लोगों को देंगे, आप अपने देखिएगा जब आउट हो जाएगा.
Definitely,
right? Yes. When the university will decide to be, that tape should be out. That study has a data, what we have done, how much we have changed the food or just walking, and how you can improve yourself. It's a very simpler way the video was created for all of us. It will be given to you.
Yes, so वो DVD, yeah, we can contact and get that. बट अब इस स्टडी के बारे में कहना चाहते हैं. देन वी अगेन देयर वाज एक अपॉर्चुनिटी आई कि कहा कि हम एशियाई भारतीय इंडियन पाकिस्तानीज वी हैव हायर चांसेस ऑफ गेटिंग अ हार्ट अटैक, सडन कार्डियक अरेस्ट. सडन कार्डियक अरेस्ट ये होता है जिसमें दिल तो आपका अचानक बंद हो जाता है, इट बीट्स एट अ इरेगुलर रिदम. तो फॉर दैट we received this funding, we wrote the grant together और हमें ये grant मिली है जिसमें अब हम लोगों को सिखाना चाहते हैं कि if you see someone with a sudden cardiac arrest, what do you do? How should your response be? And इस grant में से हम काफ़ी components है. सबसे पहला ये है कि हम एक से आप जैसे आप यहाँ पर आए हैं, please go back home, tell a few other people that this is what you should do. You know, we'll be talking more about CPR, जो cardiopulmonary resuscitation है. The classes will be offered at MAFS and they'll be starting enrollment. Nazneen Begum will be enrolling people into this classes. So please enroll कीजिए, लोगों को बताइए कि अगर किसी को आपने देखा जिससे cardiac arrest हो रहा है, आपको क्या करना है. बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन है, लोगों को एनरोल कराइए, आप अपने आप को एनरोल कीजिए. ये क्लासेस नॉर्मली बाहर आपको पैसे दे के लेने पड़ते हैं. जो ये कह रहे थे स्टडी में, दूसरा एक हमारी बड़ी स्टडी है वो उसमें दैट वी आर डूइंग इन कोलैबोरेशन विद यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कैलिफोर्निया सैन फ्रांसिस्को. वो फर्स्ट स्टडी है हम इंडियन पाकिस्तानी लोगों के लिए टू फाइंड आउट व्हाई वी हैव हाई रेट्स ऑफ हार्ट डिसीज़. सो हमें सून हम वो डेटा एनालाइज कर रहे हैं, कुछ जेनेटिक सैम्पल्स भी है, तो वो सब उसके रिजल्ट्स अब आ जाएंगे. तो शायद थोड़े सालों में वी विल नो व्हाई, बट वी नो कि हम उसका रोकथाम कर सकते हैं. वन थिंग वी नो दैट इट्स प्रिवेंटेबल फॉर श्योर एंड वी ऑल कैन टेक वन स्टेप टू प्रिवेंट इट. सो यू नो, सो लेट्स फोकस ऑन हम कुछ कर सकते हैं उसके बारे में, पहले से जितनी जल्दी कर सके दैट्स द बेस्ट.
As I told you, Ron is a very seasoned trainer. He's training us for last 10-20 years, our people, and you know you have to renew that training after 2 years. So yeah, it's a requirement by the state. So Ron comes all the time and he has some introductory training for you so that you understand and you spread this word and bring your people. Thank you, Ron, for coming.
Thank you, Mrs. Kumar. First, I'd like to thank Mrs. Kumar for offering me the opportunity to come and address you today about cardiopulmonary resuscitation. What's interesting is, as I listened to Mrs. Kumar and the doctor, they were talking about taking medical information, medical words, and bringing it down to a level of understanding by the average individual. As fate would have it, I started a company. The company's name is Hermeneutical Enterprises. The root word is hermeneutic, which means interpretation or explanation, and that is what I do. I've learned to take the complex and break it down to something simple so that everyone can understand it. My goal today is to give you some ideas of what CPR is and what it isn't. And the topics I created for you today are these. I understand that you are business leaders, you have your own businesses, so we'll briefly talk about the benefit of sponsoring CPR classes for your organization. The other thing is we're going to talk about what CPR can and cannot do, and we'll briefly talk about how the CPR standards are created. And the last thing we'd like to talk about is those things that you should consider when choosing someone to come in and train your organization. Let's take the first and most important one. These are the possible benefits of sponsoring CPR classes. If we look at it from a community perspective, what we're saying is we could possibly change the habits that these people have to minimize the chance of an individual having a heart attack and or going into cardiac arrest. The other thing, what I've learned over the years, and I've taught CPR for 12 years now, people that walk in with low confidence, once they understand what they're supposed to do, typically walk out with higher confidence and higher self-esteem. If we can increase a person's self-esteem and confidence, if an emergency comes, the chances are they will probably step in and do a good job. Here, for you, you have a higher image in the community by hosting the classes. It shows that you care. You're not there just to take their money, but you're looking at it from a holistic perspective. Now, what is CPR? A lot of people seem to think that if an individual has cardiac arrest in front of them, you do CPR and they automatically come back. That is not true. What it is an opportunity to keep key body organs alive long enough to see whether or not we can bring this person back to life. That is the primary purpose of CPR, and we'll talk about the organs that are the targets during CPR in just a moment. What it is not. It's not a guarantee the person is going to come back to life. You can do your CPR perfectly, the person will remain dead. It is not your fault, and I'll explain why that is a little bit later, and it ties into what the ladies before me addressed with you. All we're trying to do is maintain the key organs, or all of the organs in the person's body, so that if there is a chance for them to come back to life, maybe we can get them. Now, what it can do is this. We maintain the key organs of the body, and the organs are the brain and the heart. Those are the two organs that we target in CPR. If we can create a good artificial heartbeat for this individual and breathe air into their bodies, there's a chance we can keep those organs alive. And unfortunately, if the person doesn't survive, if we keep those organs alive, they can be transplanted and given to someone else. What CPR will not do is reverse the damage created by habits people have, and we will discuss those habits in a bit. Now, a lot of people have a misconception of what CPR is. They see movies, perhaps they are generated from Bollywood or here in America, or TV shows where somebody falls in cardiac arrest, people do CPR and they come back to life. I'm going to give you some statistics to show you the effectiveness of CPR. If a person goes into cardiac arrest, and if the only thing the person does is cardiopulmonary resuscitation until the paramedics arrive, and if the only thing the paramedics do for this person is cardiopulmonary resuscitation, your success rate is about 2 to 5%. However, if the individual goes into cardiac arrest and good CPR is administered and other things are done for them, like giving the individual drugs, oxygen, and different types of shocks, the success rate jumps to 49 to 75%, but we assume that whatever is wrong with that person is fixable. It may not be fixable, and if the person doesn't come back to life, it is not your fault. As I sat in the back and listened, Mrs. Kumar and the doctor said exactly what I'm about to tell you. Because people in Southwest Asia have a high incidence of heart disease, I'm going to show you exactly what goes on inside of the person's body when you eat the wrong things too often. This is the person's heart when it beats normally. When a person eats too much fatty food, it affects the arteries in the person's body, and the purpose of the arteries will be to circulate the blood with food and oxygen all over the person's body so that the organs can actually perform their function. We've already established that the arteries carry the food and oxygen everywhere, but if we were to look at this artery, we find that it's nothing more than a hose. The center of the hose in medical term is called the lumen. When that lumen is wide open, the cells that are dependent upon that artery for food and oxygen have no trouble getting what they need. Now just look at the habits that people have which create bad situations in their body. Let's look at our young people. Our young people would like to earn the respect of their peers and their elders a lot sooner than they've actually earned it, and for some of them they try to speed up the process by mimicking what they think are mature behaviors, and one of them happens to be smoking. When that person lights up and learns to suck the smoke into their lungs, a condition called vasoconstriction occurs. That lumen just got smaller. This person's blood pressure just got higher than it should be statistically for their age, and remember, if they smoke long enough, there will be enough carcinogens in their body to create cancers. This person likes to eat fried, fatty foods 2 or 3 times a week. Thanks to Ms. Kumar, I truly enjoy Indian food now. One of my favorites happens to be puri, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Puri. Puri. Yeah. Okay, thank you, puri. Until I found out it has a high fatty content. Yeah. Now, if the individual eats a lot of puri and doesn't exercise, for example,
he's going to go early.
Exactly. See, a lot of our kids today, the bulk of their exercise happens to be playing with the Xbox 360 and the Wii. Yes. And for a lot of our children, I find that they're constantly texting with their thumbs, which means their thumbs are getting really strong, but the rest of the body is going to pot. True. When that happens, the fat that's in their blood cannot get out fast enough, and over a period of time, it becomes thick. It is now called plaque. That lumen's getting smaller. This person's blood pressure is getting higher. Remember, they're smoking? Yeah. And we've yet to talk about the amount of salt that goes into the person's body every day. Yeah. As we get older, we are told that over the age of 50, we're supposed to take an aspirin every day. Everyone's heard that, correct? Yeah. Here's why they're asking you to take that aspirin. If we don't take the aspirin and thin the blood clots form. And when that happens, the lumen gets smaller. Blood pressure is getting higher. They're still smoking, still too much salt. What I'm showing you here can happen anywhere in a person's body. When this happens, the blood cannot get to that hole fast enough to feed the organs so they can do their job. Because we're talking about CPR today, I'm going to stay very focused on the heart. This yellow, those cells are dying a slow death. If we block it off 100%, everything behind the blockage dies. Now, how does that relate to what we're talking about? Your perfect CPR is not going to undo that damage. That person will remain dead. It is not your fault. And that's just one of the reasons for it. Yeah. Making sense the way I've explained it thus far? Are we okay so far? Okay, great, because that's the key to this. All right, now, educating the community. Here, in a good CPR class, you will teach them the signs and symptoms of a heart attack and stroke, because if they recognize that, the chances that person's survival is a lot greater than when you get to the level of cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Because when they get down there that low, chances of getting them back are pretty slim. So knowing the signs and symptoms of a heart attack and stroke can actually save a life where CPR won't. As I showed you on the screen, the heart began to deteriorate. And as the heart slowly deteriorates, that's when you get your signs of a heart attack. Signs of a stroke, where the person's face gets droopy. They have weakness on one side of the body. They are confused. Maybe they have blurred vision or blindness on one or both eyes. If we recognize those signs and symptoms and get the person to the emergency room quickly within 1 to 3 hours, there are drugs out there that may bring that person back 100%. The longer we wait, the worse the effects of the stroke will be. So again, education becomes very key to the community. So why CPR? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Again, it only has two purposes. Your primary purpose will be to keep your brain alive, and that is what I teach people. Via putting air into this person's body and creating artificial heartbeats, you may be able to keep that brain alive. And if we keep the brain alive by sending blood up to it, we will automatically get the person's heart. Because as the blood passes through the heart to get to the brain, the heart will feed itself. And if the heart is feeding itself, what we're hoping for is high electrical activity. It's called ventricular fibrillation. If we can keep the electrical activity high in this person's heart, when we shock that person, we may be able to get them back. And this is what I'm talking about. You see that heart move? That person's in clinical death right now. They are dead. That heart is quivering at approximately 600 to 1,200 times a minute. When that happens, there is no blood entering or leaving that person's heart. The device you see on this individual is called an automated external defibrillator. It is something that a person can learn within 45 minutes of truly understanding CPR. So the two go hand in hand. The purpose of your CPR is to keep the brain alive and keep that heart quivering if it is quivering at all. And sometimes you won't know what's doing it. When we shock the individual, we send an electrical current across that person's chest in an attempt to see if we can stop the quivering, but get it to start beating as normal as possible. What I've done is I've slowed this down so that you can actually adjust your eyes to the difference. What I just showed you on the screen happens in milliseconds if we can get the individual back. So again, the purpose of the CPR, keep the brain alive, and if that heart's quivering, keep it quivering so when the paramedics arrive, or if you have an automated external defibrillator at your location, you put it on, maybe you get them back right away. Okay? Now, choking. This is also part of a CPR course. If we can help an individual when they're choking, we can prevent the individual from dying. And this is what I'm saying. It's a person's body. How many restaurateurs do I have here? You own a restaurant? Raise your hands. Okay, pay close attention to this because one of your patrons might experience it. In fact, and please forgive my appearance, I had to teach a class to some college students on the south side of Chicago, which kept me from getting here sooner. And sure enough, one of the students used to be a waiter. And he talked about how one of the people he was serving choked with food. He knew what to do and kept the person from dying right there on the spot. I'm going to show you what he did. When this person has the blocked airway, there is no air getting in or out of that person's windpipe. It is called the trachea. When that happens, this is what's going to happen in the individual's body. Their brain will not receive enough oxygen, therefore that person will pass out on the floor. But while they are laying on the floor, their heart is continuing to beat. That heart is using up all of the oxygen in the blood. When there is no more oxygen in the blood, the heart stops. In this condition, simply put, that person's life is measured in minutes. Your objective, get the object out. Now these are the things that you might see when that individual has that type of blockage. Odd behavior. Some people will panic, they will run, they will do many things. A lot of people may give you what they call the universal sign for choking, which is where they clutch the throat. A lot of people may do that. A lot of them may not. So you have to be very, very aware that if a person has odd behavior, maybe their airway is blocked when you're in your restaurant. Concerned expression. Whenever a person's airway is compromised, again, they may give you a look of concern, look of panic, but if I'm dealing with children, and I call them pre-toddlers, where a child is about to walk but they can't talk very well, or an infant, they may give you a look like indication there's something wrong there, they don't know what it is. Also, if the person is autistic, meaning they have a mental challenge, they may give you a stare like 1,000 yards, and you don't see anything until the skin color changes. Speaking of skin color, in this situation where that is totally blocked, the medical term is called cyanosis. It simply means the person's skin is changing color. How many people have heard the term cyanosis? Okay. How many people have heard the person started turning blue? All right. When they talk about a person turning blue, they're talking about an individual with light-colored skin. This person with light-colored skin, the whites of the eyes could turn dark, fingernail beds could turn dark, assuming if they're not wearing fingernail polish, but you'll see a kind of pronounced change, mostly in the cheek area. Light blue at first, but gets darker. The darker the color on light-colored skin, the longer they've been deprived of oxygen. Now, this is a known fact that the world is not populated solely by people with light-colored skin, so we have to take into account people of color. If I'm dealing with a person of color and they have dark pigmentation in their skin, again, the whites of the eyes can turn dark. Fingernail beds, again, assuming they're not wearing fingernail polish, can turn dark, but the skin is different. If I'm dealing with a person with dark-colored skin, they don't turn darker, they turn gray in color. So the grayer the color on a person of color, the longer they've been deprived of oxygen. If you're not in the medical field, it's really very simple. If the person is lying on the ground and the skin does not look healthy, you will automatically assume the person hasn't been breathing until proven otherwise. It is as simple as that. Now, in this situation, you would ask the individual, can you cough? Can you speak? If that person can't cough or speak, then they're not in serious danger. You get that person to cough to blow it out, because I want to show you that coughing is your best friend in just a moment. Now, in the case of the waiter that I told you about, this is what he did. He took the flat part of his thumb, put it at the level of the person's navel. Using two hands, he pushed up at a very shallow angle to hit that person's lungs in order to start pushing the gas trapped in the lungs to blow the object out. The Heimlich maneuver is nothing more than a manufactured cough. You will continue to do this until that person either starts breathing on their own or they go unconscious, in which case then you would start your CPR. That is all the Heimlich maneuver is.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Usually people start hitting at the back. Like,
okay, hit him in the back.
yeah.
Okay.
Does that work?
I think it does, because there are a lot of people that have received it and they're still alive. See, there are many things that can help the individual if we know. If you're willing, I will walk you through an exercise to show you how to do it and how simple it is to work on the individual. So abdominal thrusts may work. Slow chest thrust may work. Hitting the person on the back may work. Any combination of these could bring success. Okay? How many people are interested in learning the Heimlich right now? Raise your hands. Okay, for those of you that are interested, stand up. You're going to practice on yourselves. Okay? I'm going to show you what it's like. The individual is choking. You don't know them. You've asked permission. And they've given you permission, so now you can go to work on the individual. The person gives you permission to go to work on them. What you want to do is quickly find their navel. So make a fist. Ladies, make sure your thumb is on the outside. Take the flat part of your thumb, put it right here, but make sure the palm is facing the floor this way. Grab your hand. You have a handle. Now listen to me carefully. You're going to pull up and in. If you pull up and in, this is what you get. Go ahead and give yourselves an abdominal thrust. Stop. I like it. He did this. He never moved his hands, but he went, not a bad move. Okay, stop. How many people felt some air move? Raise your hands.
Yes.
Okay, how many people say it doesn't feel good? Raise your hands. Okay, here's why it doesn't feel good. And no offense to anyone in this room, but you just suffer from a condition I created for my students called a transient case of dyslexia. Transient means it comes and goes. Dyslexia, you got it backwards. I was very clear with my instructions. I said you to pull up and in, and if you pull up and in, this is what you get. But instinctively, you came straight back, you came straight up, and everything in your abdomen said, are you crazy? This doesn't feel good. That's why it hurts. You see, you brought everything into play that has nothing to do with the cough. The cough will not come from your stomach, your large and small intestine, your pancreas, or your liver. The cough will come from the lungs, and in order to hit the lungs, you have to know where they are. So I'll show you where they are. Come to the front edge of your rib cage here. Come to the front edge. Feel that edge right there? What I want you to do is take your fingers, get underneath it like you're going to lift yourself up. There. That small space is where your lungs are. If you push in too deep, you miss them. Now watch me carefully this time. I will exaggerate the motion with my forearms and shoulders to show you what to do. People's bodies come in different shapes and sizes, but this area is always the same for every human being, and that's what you have to hit. Because of my body size, you will see I only have to push in about this deep. So watch my forearms and my shoulders. You see the difference now? Place your hands back where you had them. And this time what I want you to do is come up to your chin, but at the same time, press in just enough to hit that area. But before you do that, I want you to open your mouth. Because what's going to happen here is you're going to knock the wind out of yourself. It's not going to hurt, but it's going to feel very, very strange. And if we do this correctly, this will sound like an asthma ward with a lot of wheezing and coughing. It really will. So put your hands back where you had it. Open your mouth, come straight up towards your chin, and push in deep enough to hit that small area. Let's go. Aha, there you go. She's coughing. What's your name, ma'am?
Excuse me. Natalie Abdullah. Natalie Abdullah.
Nati Abdullah. Miss
Yes.
Abdullah. You felt the air move that time, didn't you?
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, it got you to cough, didn't
Yeah.
it? And that is the cure for choking. How many people got the air to move this time? More air this time? Yeah. Didn't hurt so much, did it?
The purpose to dislodge.
To dislodge the object. Okay? Yeah. Now, in all of my classes, I'll ask a student to come up to do the Heimlich maneuver on me so you can actually see it performed on someone. Can I get a volunteer to go to work on me? Come on. What's your name, sir? Shiraz. Come here, Shiraz. Everybody have a seat. When this is over, Shiraz will be a star at Bollywood.
Yes.
Okay, Shiraz, get behind me. Place your hands where you think they belong. Like this? Yeah, just place your hands on my body, because you're going to do the real Heimlich on me. I'm choking, and if you don't move quickly, I'm going to fall to the ground. Now, just place your hands where you're going to do the Heimlich on me like that?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, give me a real abdominal thrust. Go. Again. Again. Which directions did his hands travel? No, they didn't.
Inward, inward.
It came inward first, and then he came up. That grunt you heard was coming from my large and small intestine and my stomach. If I let him do this hard enough, long enough, and fast enough, you probably would have seen things come out of the wrong end of my body, and that's not good. So come here.
Now I'm going to, like, I'm pulling you and...
Well, that's what I mean. That's what you don't want to do. Because here, you will make the person vomit. I'm going to show you what you're supposed to do. The quickest way to find the right spot would be to place your hands at the line of the person's hips. Here, you come around. What did you find there? The stomach and what? Navel. There you go. Yeah, so you make the fist here. Here. Now I'm going to take control of your hands. This is what I want you to do. Relax. Feel the direction. You see the difference? Okay. Now give me a real abdominal thrust. Getting better. He's knocking the wind out of me. But does it sound like it's strong enough to blow this out? Could it be stronger? Okay, it could be stronger. So here's how we're going to do this. Go ahead. Are you married?
Yeah.
He's married. Okay. Has your wife ever made you angry? If she's in the audience, don't answer that. Okay. But has she ever made you angry?
Okay, all right.
Okay, she did, right? This is one of those times. Show me how angry you get.
So you mean like I have to pull all my pressure?
Well, I want you to show me how angry you get. Do the Heimlich and show me that you're angry. Go. Okay. You see the difference now? You have to go after this with an attitude to make it work because you have a limited amount of time. And these are just some of the exercises I put my students through in order to get them to understand and to perform better. Make sense now?
This is for an older person, but what about a kid?
If I do
Same thing.
They want to.
Same thing.
if I do this thing with my wife, she will call police.
I'm not going to say anything until I talk to my lawyer. Okay, but you're saying now, children. How old is the child?
Like maybe 2 years?
2 years old. Guess what? It's the same thing. Except you only have to use one hand. Now, I've actually done it on a child. In fact, it was my daughter. A very frail individual. And the moment I had to do it because her mother mistakenly gave her a drink with a small ice cube in it that's now stuck in her trachea, her windpipe. As soon as I got down on one knee and put my hand on her abdomen, I realized just how fragile a human being she is. At this point, when you put your hand in the same area as Shiraj did me, you'll have an idea where to start. You will start where you think you should be, and once you get started, you'll know how to adjust.
But like you were making a noise, they may not know how to.
No. Well, what you're doing is you're forcing the person to cough. In fact, let me back this up a minute, and I'll show you what's happening. Let us assume. Let us assume that this person is now in a situation where they need the abdominal thrust. Believe it or not, this person is trying to cough. Their muscles are trying to cough to make it happen. What you're doing is assisting by taking that air and forcing that object up to loosen it so that person can actually cough it out themselves.
It will not force them to cough.
In a way it does.
Oh, it does.
Because remember when I said you have to hit the lungs? When you push on this, you send mass up to hit the bottom right here. And as soon as you hit that, the energy is then transferred to the gases in there, and that's what makes the gases move. It would be like he pushed you, you pushed her, she pushed him. Exact domino effect. That's what we're looking for. And that's what the Heimlich maneuver is all about. And there are other things that you could do to keep the person from dying because they're choking on things. But again, these are the things that I teach students.
One question, like the person who is lying on the ground.
Yes.
We cannot get hold from the back. So
Okay.
the same process needs to be done on the front side.
From the front side, except the technique that we're teaching people now is to go to the person's chest. In fact, can I borrow you again? Sometimes people cannot get their arms around the individual because they are big people. Or maybe there is a woman that is pregnant. You don't want to go to her abdomen. Or maybe your technique is not good enough to make this work. You have an alternative. Come back. Put your hands on my chest. These are called slow chest thrusts. Make a fist. Okay? Now, don't do anything until I tell you. Our goal here will be to make the air move by coming from the front. So this is my back, this is my chest. When he squeezes, the air is forced upwards to blow the object out just like this. So when I tell you to hit me hard on my chest, but do not hit me again until I tell you. Okay? Go. Again. I'm your wife, you're angry. Go. There you go. You see the difference now? Then afterwards she's going to hug her like he's hugging me. Okay, thank you. Thanks again. You see the difference now? Now to answer your question. Yeah. Yeah. Now to answer your question, the person's on the ground. At this point, if you push on their chest rapidly, you force the air up just the way you did on me. The reason I didn't want you to do this fast on my chest is because you can change the person's heart rhythm. And next thing you know, they're on the ground. So nothing is foolproof in this game, and there is an element of minor danger. And let me emphasize minor danger. Okay? But if you're taught well, this will work.
What if you're alone by yourself and you have to do it on yourself?
Well, okay. Let's see if we can get a chair here. Ladies, gentlemen, please pay attention carefully because I can only do this so many times. You've got to find the flat edge of a table or the back of a chair. Remember that space that I told you exists that you want to hit? This is what you have to hit. So you're going to lower yourself down like this.
Okay. Good idea.
Yeah, well, there are some people that will actually do this to themselves to make it work. It all depends on how you've been trained and how calm you keep yourself in order to perform.
Yeah. In case if nobody there, you can do it.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
It's a very dangerous situation. My son got choked when he was like 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
He got choked with the orange juice.
Okay.
Always just related to that. And I didn't know anything about it. I just started like pushing his stomach, you know.
Okay.
Just started doing it, and he threw everything.
You threw everything up.
Everything out, and he was choked for more than 1 minute.
Oh.
My wife called like 911 and everything. Like he started changing his skin color too.
Oh, okay.
It was just like that. After like more than 60 seconds, like he threw it out.
Okay. In this situation, you said he drank orange juice and he started choking on it. Okay, there's a condition in the human body called a laryngeal spasm. When people are drowning, water comes close to the back of the windpipe, those muscles close in a way to defend themselves. And when that happens, no air gets in or out, which is probably what happened to your son when the orange juice hit it. And it takes a while for that muscle to relax so the person can breathe again. But that's a little bit different than having a piece of food wedged in there like you see on the screen. Okay? I'm glad everything was okay.
Deborah is here with us, and she's going to say a few words.
Go ahead, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Deborah. She is very busy, but still she has some time for us. That's awesome. So, Deborah is here.
First of all, I just want to thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Deborah.
My pleasure. And this is a very important session that just happened here. And I'm glad that even though I wasn't here for the entire thing, but I'm so happy that I was able to catch at least part of it because how informative. I mean, here we now, I mean, God forbid we should ever need it, but it can save a life. So I am going to continue to suggest that more organizations have classes like this. I think it's really important. And I'm very grateful that that you invited me, and I learned a lot from the few minutes that I'm here. So, thank you.